Well, hello folks, welcome once more to Gelvin Valley. We are trying to wrap up our barley harvest while continually hoping that the price improves. It is not. It decided to go down. Good grief. Meanwhile, wheat is flatlined. This is not welcome news at all. Here in the previous episode, I was wondering if 180 per metric ton was the lowest that it would go here. Turns out it is not, so we will see to what depths the price of barley can sink. We obviously wanted to come up a bit before we try to liquidate everything we have in storage. We've been accumulating quite a lot there. Looks like we have decent weather to get through the harvest, and we have some hail coming. Should be able to bale everything, get our bales picked up, have everything done that we need. Meanwhile, we're kind of sitting in a cash crunch once again. What can I say? But we got just a little bit left in this field. Been patiently combining it. It's steeper than all get out, so our combine has been doing well to stay affixed to the hill. And I don't know what you're doing driving in the middle of my crop, but it is what it is. So just a little bit left. I probably should, well, maybe I can, turn you around, zoom out a bit. I could probably continue you, right? I think that's what I can do. Continue taking a couple swaths on here to get this all ready for baling when we come in here. I'll get it all put together. The bales hopefully will give us some temporary cash. I don't know if it'll take care of our, probably won't take care of our negative cash. We have a very patient banker here on Gelvin Valley. He's like, it's all good, take your time, farming here is a different pace of life, or something like that. Probably wants me to pay the loan, but right now we are a little short, but we're working on it. Wild Wes made this beautiful map, and he made it very tough, not only geographically speaking, but also tough in terms of turning a buck, at least with arable farming. Something we haven't done yet, and I want to get into at some point, is turning maybe some of the grain that we have here, turning it into animals, or rather raising hogs or cattle. I think the main area of our farm where we have all of our stuff parked is, I believe that's hogs, right? Is that what the map says? Oh, my bad, it's beef. Huh. Okay, well, where are the hogs? Oh, the fork is clear over by field number 29. Alright, fair enough. So we'll maybe start with beef since we're there. We'll have to take a kind of a gander at how the mod works, you know, once it gets to that point. And maybe just take a small pause while we wait for the combine to go around. You can kind of see the working of its hillside mechanism as it climbs the hill. Got to keep the separator flat so that it properly threshes and separates the grain from the chaff. See it kind of coming down now, all with the goal of keeping it level, which if it doesn't, it just ends up throwing crop out the back of the combine. So lots to do here on Gelvin Valley, lots to continue doing, and things yet to be tried. But in the past couple episodes, I've been sharing about a family vacation that we took recently, as in just a little over a week ago, and probably part of it is I am just flat out missing it, missing especially the family time. You know, my wife and I guess we would say at this point in our life, we're middle-aged. I turned 50 this summer, and we have 4 children, and 2 of them are out of the house, 2 of them are still at home. One is married, one is in the process of getting married, and you know, life just keeps moving forward. There's nothing that takes life backwards, at least not that I've ever found. There's people out there that claim to have time machines. Whatever. The only way time moves in my world is forward. Oh dear. Kind of. Yeah, I think he's waiting on the tractor to get out of his way. We better help him. Maybe I should have waited just till he combines that last little bit so I can pick up whatever might end up there. Can't back up straight. I'll just blame it again on the hill. Let me go to the combine and try to help him out. Turn him off higher. Get him going again. Come on, dude. Come on, you're going 2 miles. Oh, I hired him. He isn't figuring it out. Alright, I'll try to do it manually. Hit the wrong button. Now he's climbing like a good feller. But it seems too few times anymore that family can be together, and a part of me philosophically has wondered just how much we should, be together when keep that lowered. I know it takes time, and when a child gets married and leaves the home and they start their own family, one thought for the parent is how much, do I ask them to continue to be around or take up their time, if you will, when they are building new memories with, their husband or wife, and then when their own children come along. And I know there's a balancing act in there, and I come from a large family, and we've had lots of family gatherings, and yeah, it's just something I've thought about as a dad and wondered, how much we'll be able to do in the future. And oops, I'm gonna walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. How can I make it through this fence? The point is the time is short. Don't have much of it, so I'm trying to enjoy it while I have it with the kids. And you know what? It always helps when you pay the bill for the travel than getting them to come along. Oh, dog my cats, are you not going to let me through here? I am almost positive I have tried to... Alright, I'm going to drop this sucker. Oh, gracious. Please let me pick it up. You would never do this in real life. Haha. Where am I? Related to the snout. Oh, there, I can pick it up. It's going to swing it in sideways. There we go. Look at that. Made it. That's some expert driving right there. Alright, we'll get him harvesting that over there. We'll wake up my tractor. And let me see here. He's going to need to change. Do I have one for field number 8? 8. Humvee to storage. By George. Boom. Alright. And I think he's still on the same combine. Good, good, good. Okay, we'll take him down there. We're going to have to do it manually, I think, here for the first load, because he'll be opening up this small field over here. We are almost done. I'm getting excited to be done with the harvest and move on to something else. But we dragged our family off on a fishing trip to the mountains. That was a primary purpose. We did spend the majority of a day at Train Mountain. I mentioned that on one of a previous episode to this. We spent a chunk of a day at Crater Lake. the deepest lake in the U.S. It's Oregon's only national park, if I'm not mistaken, that we have here for the volcano there. And you know, I've heard lots of stories about Crater Lake too over the years that say it's haunted and all that jazz. Who knows what all that means? All I know is you need to be careful when you go to places like that because it can be dangerous, you know, with steep slopes and whatnot. Are you coming around the mountain here? Combine? Oh, you're trying. You're trying to harvest the grass. Good grief. I think it'll eventually be here. Maybe. Maybe I'll just take you off of fire, try to get out of the... What are you caught on? Oh, did you tangle in a fence? Are you? No, you did not. You didn't, did you? But you did. But you did, you turncoat. I can never, ever understand how these things get themselves in these predicaments. That's kind of sucking it over a little bit. Help us all. Well, folks, I'm going to have to do not just a little reset here, but send it another direction and come back in here and try this again. I'll be right back. Alright, I think we figured it out. As it turns out, I ended up having to go clear across the valley with a reset, kind of a pain in the neck, but I ended up having to do it. I know you can manipulate the save game file and move it. I didn't feel comfortable doing it because I realized, you know, I haven't moved a combine before. I moved the header. Oh, I gotta turn off my indicators, and so I'm in here taking the first round manually. Always a pleasure to go clear across the canyon and have to drive home, all because the guy that comes and pulls you off the fence insists on taking you clear back to his home base, and you have to recover from there. Boop. Okay, I am full. Let me just sneak off to the side here real quick. I will. Let me see if I can offload him. Just a little strip around the field here. Then I'm going to send him on his merry way. I think I have a course set up. Alright, let me see kind of where it's combine, so there's no mistakes. As soon as he's done dumping, which he is, it's off to storage. Hopefully we can figure it out. Alright, back to the combine, pull in a pipe. Now when I just tried this on its own, this silly guy ended up in the fence over there, so I am hoping. What's going on? Oh dear. You know, I think probably all of these routes I need to redo at some point. Can I send you here? Will you go? Why? The path is clear. It's ahead. Let me try it. Let's go a little bit further. Will it try to go back on itself? You know, I think it's part of it that Horseplay wants to find the end of the route, which is going to do right here, and then of course it's going to promptly turn into the fence, but maybe now I can head it off just a little bit. Nothing to see here. Go, 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 go. Out you go, out you go. Okay, close enough. I think it hit the point. And you follow this combine, make sure he stays out of trouble. Ah, now where was I? I think I was just reminiscing on vacation and talking about where we went as a family, you know. The rest of the time that we had together was at a mountain lake fishing in central Oregon, kind of right in the center, well, a little west of center, if you will. Get away from that fence. I'm going to take over here, make sure he doesn't screw up like last time. Get on around here. There we go. Hire him again. There is a place called the Cascade Lakes Highway. There's Mount Bachelor, kind of on the north, just outside of the city of Bend in central Oregon. And then the highway kind of curls around south, and it goes by just a number of high mountain lakes. I say high, it isn't super high. You know, up by Bachelor, the road is over 6,000 feet elevation. If I'm not mistaken, it ends up at, oh, I don't think it quite gets to 4,000, maybe 4,500 by the time you get to the end. And it just goes by a number of freshwater mountain lakes that are known for their fishing, for their recreation, and what have you. A lot of them are actually reservoirs for irrigation, water storage, maybe even winter flood control, as the case may be. And so a number of them are man-made, and the one my boys like going to is one of those. And it's kind of an odd lake, if you will, as I'm not aware of any other quite like it, at least not in the region where I live. It's called Crane Prairie Reservoir. It has a dam on one end of it, and they flooded a large clear-cut logging area. Well, I think it was clear-cut. Maybe it wasn't entirely clear-cut. Point is, they flooded a large, flatter area kind of up there, with flat areas being rare, you know, when it comes to being up in the mountains. And at the dam, it's probably 30 feet deep, maybe the water, but that is the deepest part of the entire lake. Why are you only taking a partial sniff at this, pal? Come on, get the job done. Take a full swab. Hard to find good hired help, I tell you. And it's, of course, you know, I just as well not even have a course on this particular field. This is an incompetence of course play. Yeah, in the comments you'll make your jokes, Russell. But I still like course play. I like it. But this lake is kind of over a flat area, and there's a couple river channels maybe that go in there. Is that the Deschutes River? Something like that. So it's a little bit deeper in the channels, but everywhere else you could step out of the boat and be in anywhere from a couple feet of water to maybe 7-8 feet. It's a really, really shallow lake. But it may be a shallow lake. It's over a fairly decent sized area, but it has some large fish in it that are always attractive, you know, to my boys, you know, when they want to catch something decent. It's kind of a place where, stop, let me take off the combine assignment. It's kind of a place where you can do a lot of fly fishing, because the way they did this, which is kind of unique, like I say, is they left a lot of the stumps, maybe even all of them. So there's stumps, there are trees still standing, weather beaten after all these years. And so I don't even know if some of them were logged. Maybe once upon a time, maybe they just flooded the area and let nature take its course. And so a lot of these trees, all of them would have died, of course, over time in the water. Others they may have logged out. But there are snags of trees just everywhere. And you got to be careful when you're boating in there, to stay in the channels and be really careful that you don't go too high a speed, because they're just like you can see all the snags above the water, there are an abundance of snags just under the water, and you can't even see them until you're right there. So when you're kind of navigating a boat through here, other than when you're in the channels, channels are the river channels, so it's deep enough to navigate a boat in, and if you can stay in there, you're good. But generally speaking, the times I've been out there, there's always someone on the front of the boat keeping an eye out for snags to make sure you're not going to hit one or accidentally run over it and first thing tangle with your propeller on the back of the boat. It's otherwise a very shallow lake, and so you really got to be paying attention when you're piloting the boat kind of around. But it's loaded with rainbow trout, and my sons just love it. And I am not a fisherman. I just don't have the patience for it. I can't. It's hard for me to spend a whole day out in the boat. They do it no problem. They get up at the crack of dawn, and they are out there on the water, just raring to go to try to catch a few fish. And the interesting thing is, well, maybe it's interesting, maybe it isn't. They really don't keep that many fish. If they catch one, they enjoy the fight, and then they typically will throw it back. I think my daughters generally enjoy fishing too. I've got a couple one son-in-law, another son-in-law to be. They also seem to enjoy fishing, and so a lot of times, this boat that we use, it belongs to my father. We just borrow it. It only holds, really it can hold 4 people, but comfortably only 3. So for those of us who are non-fisher folks, we don't spend a lot of time in the boat. I occasionally will go out there with them just to spend time with them and watch them, but oh, you don't like it that I'm sitting back here, huh? All right, let me back up. But if I do go out, a lot of times I've taken a book with me just to pass the time. There was one of the days that they were out there, they had more people than the boat could carry, so we rented another one just so they could have 2 going at the same time. And my oldest son is kind of a fly fisherman, and I think he views something called power bait as cheating, or so he has told me. And well, the one boat used a lot of power bait. I think one particular day they got like 18 to 20 fish, and my son only got a handful. But I think it's way more challenging maybe to try to catch them with the no, don't go up here, with the fly pole. It takes a little more finesse and skill to know what you're doing. So I've already expended anything and everything I ever would know on how to catch a fish or what have you. It's, I did it as a kid. This mountain lake that we're going to, it was kind of a favorite spot of my father, who would take us and my brothers and family kind of up here to go fishing periodically. He's doing this again. Good grief. Just figure it out. Now there's zip over there, zip to the side. Sometimes, yeah, it's probably depends on the angle I'm taking it at. I really need to redo this course. It's not the only lake on this particular Cascade Lakes Highway, that we have fished, but Crane Prairie was definitely, I think, my father's all-time favorite. My sons love it. We've returned there a number of years. The lake doesn't really have it has a resort. It has a couple cabins. They're pretty rustic, but you can set up an RV or you can tent. I think we have a yurt you can stay in. But I know my wife and I, when we go up there as a family, we don't rough it too much. When you rough it too much, it just starts to become work. So we typically will rent a cabin and stay there, and I mean it's a fairly decent cabin. It's still fairly rustic, but it has a shower and that kind of thing in it, so you can clean yourself up. But that happens to be over at another lake. This one isn't man-made. I think it's natural. There's twin lakes. There's North and South Twin Lake, and the South Twin Lake happens to have a small resort on it. They have a restaurant part of the year, several cabins. There's some run down, a store, you can get some supplies and what have you. All the comforts of home. And so that's kind of where we stayed. It's just a few miles away from Crane Prairie, a little bit nicer accommodations than at Crane Prairie. And so I know years ago my family would stay there, so we're just kind of duplicating what I did a little as a kid by staying there. Another lake we stayed at many, many years was called Cultus Lake. It wasn't really a fishing lake. I'm sure it has fish in it, but I don't know that it's known for fishing. It's more for water skiing and water recreation. It's also a natural lake. They had some cabins. I know growing up we stayed there many times, but as always, we never fished it. We always were headed down the road to go to Crane Prairie. In later years, there was another lake my father liked, Lava Lake. It's a little bit further up, a little bit higher elevation. My brothers have fished in a lake called Hosmer Lake. That's kind of a unique lake too. It's kind of built for canoes. I don't think you can take any motorboats on it, so you got to go in with a paddle. Set up, I think, primarily for fly fishing, that kind of thing in there. Actually, there's a little lava lake in there too. I've never been to that one. And then there was a number of years our family we spent at Elk Lake, which is still further up there. This one, this particular highway in the winter, they just close it. I mean, there's a gate on either end of it. They close it. They don't maintain it in the winter. There's no snow blown off the road. Elk Lake happens to stay open year round, and so in the winter, I mean, they switch from having a bunch of fishermen there to having a bunch of people who are interested in skiing, cross-country skiing or whatever. There's some people brave enough to go ice fishing. I know the lakes up there freeze over, but it's not, it's cold. I mean, it's cold enough to freeze, but it isn't the deep freeze, like you would get in the upper Midwest, in Minnesota, or those kinds of places, where it can be just night after night of, say 20, 30 below, something that makes the ice really hard. But there is ice fishing there occasionally. Horseplay. Behave. Put them along the edge here. So for the most part, for my wife and I, she enjoys hiking on some trails, and I enjoy hiking too. There was one that I went out with her. We hiked around the South Twin Lake. There's a decent trail that kind of takes you around so you can kind of see the sights. There's trails, up the wazoo, all over out there. The question is how far away do you go? What's the risk of getting lost? And will you encounter any wildlife that you would just assume not encounter? Although frankly, probably the largest risk is any two-legged kind of wildlife, other people out there that may not be the kindest, gentlest human beings ever. So we did a little bit of hiking, but primarily, I gotta say for me, is I just rested. It's a rare pleasure to be able to sleep in with no consequences, and there's something psychological, I know it is for me, when every day after day, I don't care if it's the weekend or the middle of the week, work week, having to have the old alarm clock set so you can get up in the morning, and there's like a part of me that's just agitated. I don't even sleep as restfully, I don't think, often, because there's a part of me that's just anticipating hearing the rings and having to get up, and to be able to turn all that off and to know when I'm going to bed, I can sleep as long as I please and nobody is gonna say boo. And if I want to get up at noon, I can get up at noon. I can do whatever I want. It's just so refreshing and relaxing to be able to, have the ability to do that. At least for me. And the idea of being out there with my boys on the boat at the crack of dawn, it's like, are you kidding me? That's what I do, during busy season here at work, and it's like, no thank you. I'm on vacation. I want to take it easy and not have to get up at the crack of dawn for anyone or anything. So most of the time, the other pleasure is having time, to do even things like play this game. So I take my laptop along with me, and I know this seems just probably bat crazy to who knows how many. I'll be sitting there at the little kitchen table they have in this canyon, or at this resort cabin rather, and I'll be looking out at a beautiful view out the window, and I'll have my laptop up. You can't really get the internet up there, but I'm talking about playing Farming Sim just for kicks on there, or working on a mod. I know a few years ago, actually not a few years ago, just 2 or 3, I did some substantial modding activity. Now, can I get in here? You know what? I probably have to go clear to the other end. You know what? Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get over here to this here field so I can get harvesting. I know there's an entrance over here I can get into. Won't help me with this field. So yeah, I take my laptop and I play a good old farming simulator in the mountains. And it's a time to work on some mods and some of that kind of thing. I know I set up a whole nother series for my YouTube ventures one fall when I was up there. That's kind of for the filming. Made a whole bunch of fixes. One year I worked on another map, the one I kind of have a small story series on, Gelvin Valley, or excuse me, not Gelvin Valley, Glen Ellie, map made by Farmer Yip for Farms of 15. I only have a couple episodes on that. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with that series. I know some of you on here have helpfully commented that maybe telling stories isn't quite my forte. And you're right, it's obviously very, very dumb. That storyline I'm doing over there, it's a caricature, and it's just for kicks and giggles and fun. But who knows where it's going to go. But one fishing trip, I spent a significant time kind of working on that map to prepare for that story series, if you will. So that's kind of what I do. What are you doing? You keep stopping for no known reason. Am I popping an error? Add trigger callback. I don't know what that's all about. I wonder if it's just the outer round of the field is kind of hard for the combine to figure out. So yeah, how about we stop here and we let the straw out and we try to cut the corner off to just be nice and helpful. Yeah, these fields here are some of the original that you have when you start out. They're some of the steeper fields, and so they're the ones where you figure out that it's pretty tough to take. Well, actually, this isn't too bad. This is fairly flat in here. But it gets steeper in a hurry, and not all of the bales are kind enough to roll down the hill for when you pick them up. Yeah, see, it's starting to get steep, so it's just hard pulling a baler up through here. Anyway, I think I've bored everybody enough on vacation details. Suffice it to say, had a lovely time. Anytime you get up in the mountains, the air is just cleaner. The light pollution is less. There was a couple nights we went out, and there was a little bit of forest fire activity going on, that we had to kind of monitor to make sure we could actually stay at the lake. So there was a little bit of haze, but the wind did pretty well clearing it out of there. And I gotta say, some of those nights, when you can stare up into the heavens and see the stars, it just blows my mind. I think it's the first time this particular trip where I was able to see the arm of the Milky Way. I know it's up overhead, kind of in the area, where we live here. People have said they can see it before. Sometimes you have to set out a camera that captures all the light, just so. But tonight, I could genuinely, or tonight, while we were on our trip, I could genuinely see it, and I gotta say that probably was one of the major highlights to me in being able to see just the beauty of all those stars. So thank you so much, all of you, for being patiently watching this series, continuing to watch and come along for the ride. Let me get this thing going a little quicker. See if I can do that. And for enjoying Gelvin Valley. Harvest continues here. We're down to just 2 fields, which we will continue on the next episode. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.